The Last of Us, a game audiobook. Chapter 1, The Outbreak. The world had never seen a night like it. Chaos reigned, and humanity teetered on the brink of oblivion. Joel, a once ordinary man, now found himself in the heart of this maelstrom. The first chapter of his harrowing tale began in the midst of the outbreak, an event that would forever etch scars upon his soul and harden his very being. It was a cool summer night in 2013, the stars shimmering high above in the inky canvas of the sky, a picturesque scene that would soon crumble into a nightmare. Joel, with graying hair and a tired demeanor, stood beside the bedside of his beloved daughter, Sarah. Her face, innocent in slumber, was framed by golden locks, her peaceful dreams a stark contrast to the impending doom that loomed. The room was bathed in an eerie calm, a fleeting moment of tranquility before the tempest. Joel's hand lightly rested on Sarah's shoulder, the touch of a father's love that would soon become a beacon of memory in the darkest corners of his mind. A deafening crash shattered the stillness. The walls of their suburban home quivered as the world outside descended into anarchy. The air was laced with the wails of sirens, and the faint echoes of screams became a discordant symphony of fear and despair. Frightened, Sarah stirred, her hazel eyes fluttering open. "Dad, what's happening?" she asked, her voice quivering, seeking solace in the familiar reassurance of her father. Joel leaned down and brushed a strand of hair away from her face, struggling to mask the unease that coursed through his veins. "It's gonna be all right, baby," he whispered, though the words felt hollow in the face of the impending unknown. As Joel and Sarah moved through their home, the dread of uncertainty hung heavy in the air. The news reports had been dire, speaking of a fungal infection that turned people into something otherworldly, something monstrous. Reports of rioting, violence, and the collapse of society permeated every channel. The sirens outside drew nearer, the discord growing more menacing with each passing second. It was then that a neighbor burst through their front door, wild-eyed and desperate, his clothes stained with blood. He had been bitten, infected. Panic gripped Joel as he realized the gravity of the situation. Sarah's trembling hand clutched his, and he knew they had to leave, to flee from the infection that threatened to devour all of humanity. They rushed into the night, a disorienting haze of darkness and desperation. The city had become a war zone, illuminated by the sinister glow of fires and the grotesque, fungal growths that now sprouted from the infected. Chaos was their only companion, and the terrifying unknown their destination. As father and daughter pressed on, they encountered scenes of brutality and savagery that would haunt their every step. The outbreak had brought out the worst in humanity, and survival at any cost had become the order of the day. The cataclysmic events of that fateful night inexorably altered Joel. He was no longer just a father. He was a survivor, a man forged in the crucible of the outbreak. But the cost of this transformation was immeasurable, etched in the loss of his most precious possession, his daughter, Sarah. It was a loss that would leave him emotionally scarred and irrevocably hardened, setting the stage for the journey that lay ahead. In the aftermath of that night, Joel emerged from the chaos, a man forever changed, and the first chapter of his story was etched in the painful memory of the outbreak. Chapter 2, A Smuggler's Life. 20 long, weary years had passed since the night of the outbreak, when Joel lost his beloved daughter, Sarah, and witnessed the world crumble into chaos. The once picturesque landscapes had become scorched and tainted, and the scent of decay lingered in the air, as did the memory of that night. In the harsh light of the present day, Joel had become a man of survival, a smuggler navigating the treacherous landscape of post-apocalyptic America. His graying hair and hardened demeanor were testimony to the relentless passage of time. With each passing year, his connection to the past grew more tenuous, But the memories of Sarah and the horrors of the outbreak were never far from the surface. Boston had transformed into a different world, one where the remnants of society lived under the oppressive rule of the military. Quarantine zones had become the last vestiges of order, or so they claimed, while the outside world was overrun by infected and marauding bands of survivors. Joel operated on the fringes of this tattered society, adapting to a life of clandestine deals and black market transactions. His base of operations was a dilapidated, dimly lit room in the heart of the city's ruins. This room was filled with contraband, from smuggled supplies to weapons, all commodities highly coveted in this bleak existence. He met his partners in shadowy alleys, their faces hidden beneath hoods and scarves, while the relentless rain of Boston served as a natural veil for their dealings. Joel was a survivor, and as such, he had to be shrewd, resourceful, and unafraid to take risks. The ruthless nature of his new reality had left its mark, erasing any remnants of the man he had once been, replacing it with a survivor's instinct. He operated in the shadows, always keeping one step ahead of those who might wish to see him captured or worse. In the distance, the presence of the military was omnipresent. Their checkpoints, patrolled by stern-faced soldiers, were the gateways to the quarantine zones. Those who wished to enter had to endure the scrutiny of armed guards, a process filled with tension and distrust. The price of living under military protection was strict obedience, and any hint of disobedience was met with swift and often brutal punishment. Joel had learned the hard way that there was no room for sentiment in this unforgiving world. The bonds of friendship and trust had been replaced by a relentless pragmatism. Every deal, every decision, was driven by the cold calculus of survival. But beneath the exterior of a hardened smuggler, the specter of the outbreak still haunted Joel. The image of Sarah's face in her final moments never truly left him. It was a wound that festered, a pain that lurked in the shadows of his heart. For all the years that had passed, he remained a father who had lost his child, and it was a loss he carried with him into every dark corner of this new world. And so, in this harsh and unforgiving reality, Joel had become a smuggler, a man who did whatever it took to survive. The passage of time had sculpted him into something unrecognizable from the man he once was, but beneath the layers of survival and pragmatism, the memories of the outbreak and the pain of loss still lay buried deep within. The past was never truly forgotten, just carefully concealed beneath the veneer of a smuggler's life. Chapter 3: The Escort Mission. In the dimly lit confines of his makeshift office, Joel sat alone, surrounded by crates of smuggled goods and the weight of 20 years of survival. His world had narrowed to the next job, the next risky deal, and the next potential danger lurking in the shadows. It was a life of solitude, a life that had hardened him to the core. As he contemplated his next move, a knock on the door broke his solitary reverie. The sound was unexpected, a disruption to the monotonous rhythm of his existence. The door creaked open, revealing Tess, his longtime partner in the world of smuggling. Her sharp, calculating eyes met his, and she held a bundle in her arms, wrapped in a tattered blanket. "Joel, I need to talk to you," she said, her voice brimming with an unusual urgency. Joel's eyes narrowed in suspicion as he scanned the bundle in Tess's arms. His life had taught him to trust no one, but Tess was one of the few exceptions. "What's going on, Tess?" he asked, his curiosity piqued. She unwrapped the bundle, revealing a teenage girl, her hazel eyes mirroring those of Joel's long-lost daughter, Sarah. The girl was drenched in sweat, trembling with fear, and her clothes were tattered. In a world where trust was a precious commodity, the sight of a stranger's face was a rare and unexpected event. "This is Ellie," Tess explained. She's important, Joel. I need you to take her to the Fireflies. The mention of the Fireflies sent a shiver down Joel's spine. The resistance group had a reputation for being both fearless and ruthless, their goals often shrouded in secrecy. They were a symbol of resistance against the military's iron grip, but they were also known to be unpredictable and dangerous. Why can't you take her there yourself? Joel asked, wary of the request. Tess hesitated, her eyes searching his for understanding. I've got a lead on a big score, Joel. It could set us up for life. But we need the military off our backs. The Fireflies can help with that, but they won't deal with me. You, on the other hand. Joel understood the implications of her words. The military's watchful eyes were everywhere, and the consequences of getting caught were dire. Taking Ellie to the Fireflies and securing their assistance was a high-stakes gamble. He looked at the frightened girl, Ellie, who seemed to be holding her breath, waiting for his response. Her presence stirred something within him, a flicker of empathy and recognition of her vulnerability. Her hazel eyes, so eerily reminiscent of Sarah's, tugged at the frayed edges of his heart. Reluctantly, he nodded, his voice low and measured. All right, Tess. I'll do it. Tess's relief was palpable, and a plan was set in motion. The journey to the Fireflies would be perilous, fraught with danger, and Joel had no illusions about the challenges that lay ahead. But he had made a promise to protect Ellie and deliver her to the resistance group. As the weight of this new responsibility settled on his shoulders, Joel couldn't help but wonder if this mission would be the salvation he had longed for, or if it would plunge him deeper into the unforgiving heart of a world that had already taken so much from him. The stage was set, and the journey began, marking the inception of an extraordinary partnership and the unfolding of their destiny in a world where every choice carried a heavy cost. Chapter 4: A Dangerous World. The journey began with uncertainty as Joel and Ellie ventured into the desolate wastelands of the post-apocalyptic world. Their path was fraught with danger, and the landscape was a testament to the devastation wrought by the fungal infection that had ravaged humanity. Together, they navigated abandoned cities and crumbling buildings, once bustling with life, but now reduced to hollow echoes of the past. The streets were overgrown with nature's reclamation, and the world was shrouded in a perpetual twilight, as if mourning the loss of civilization. The dangers they encountered were numerous, and the threats varied. First came the infected, the grotesque remnants of humanity, their skin mottled with fungal growths, their eyes consumed by madness. Joel and Ellie learned quickly that discretion and stealth were their greatest allies when confronting these twisted beings. Each encounter with the infected was a heart-pounding ordeal, a reminder of the fragility of life in this unforgiving world. Yet, the infected were not the only peril they faced. Bands of desperate survivors roamed the landscape, driven to extremes by hunger, fear, and the instinct for self-preservation. These encounters were often marked by violence, as those who had survived had done so through ruthless pragmatism. In this world, trust was a luxury they could ill afford. Through these trials, Joel and Ellie's partnership deepened. Ellie, initially unfamiliar with the dangers of this world, learned to adapt and trust Joel's guidance. She proved herself resourceful and brave, her spirit untamed by the despair that surrounded her. Joel, on the other hand, found himself slowly thawing from the icy armor he had worn for so long, especially when he witnessed Ellie's unwavering determination. Their daily existence became a delicate dance of survival. Ellie learned the art of scavenging for supplies, mastering the art of crafting makeshift weapons and bandages from the remnants of a shattered society. Joel, in turn, shared his knowledge, teaching her how to move silently, how to sense danger, and how to fire a gun when necessary. In the quiet moments, As they huddled around a campfire or took shelter from the rain, their bond grew stronger. The stories they shared, the occasional laughter, and the rare moments of vulnerability began to erode the walls they had built around themselves. But beneath the surface, their shared traumas remained a powerful undercurrent. The loss of Sarah and the scars of Joel's past weighed on him, and he found solace in the companionship of Ellie, whose presence was a glimmer of hope in a world that had grown so dark. As they journeyed onward, Joel and Ellie found themselves in a world where danger lurked around every corner, where survival was a constant struggle, and where their trust in each other was a lifeline in a world where few could be trusted. The landscape may have been bleak, but the growing connection between them was a beacon of light in the darkness, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the unbreakable bonds that could be forged in the most dire of circumstances. The path they tread was perilous, but it was their shared determination and unwavering trust that would see them through the challenges of this dangerous world. Chapter 5: Escape from Boston. Their journey through the dangerous world was taking an even more perilous turn as Joel and Ellie found themselves trapped within the claustrophobic confines of a military-controlled quarantine zone in Boston. Their mission to escort Ellie to the Fireflies had brought them into the belly of the beast, where the military's grip on the city was relentless. The first challenge was getting inside the quarantine zone. They knew that any misstep could lead to capture, and so they relied on their wits and stealth. Joel's knowledge of the city from his smuggling days proved invaluable. He led Ellie through the labyrinthine streets and alleys, avoiding the watchful eyes of the guards and the scrutiny of military checkpoints. Their journey through the city was a harrowing ordeal. The streets were eerily silent, punctuated only by the occasional distant gunfire or the wails of the infected. The once thriving metropolis had become a ghost town, its skyscrapers towering above, as if mocking the remnants of civilization. As they ventured deeper into the heart of the quarantine zone, they encountered pockets of desperate survivors, eking out a precarious existence in the shadows. These encounters were marked by distrust and often escalated into violence, but Joel and Ellie had learned to tread carefully. They had no allies in this city, only temporary alliances forged out of necessity. Their journey led them to a dilapidated hotel, where they sought shelter for the night. The creaking floors and flickering lights were a stark reminder of the crumbling world, and the eerie silence of the building only added to the tension. Yet, in this makeshift sanctuary, Joel and Ellie found a moment of respite. They talked in hushed voices, shared stories of their past, and even found a glimmer of hope in their unlikely companionship. But the respite was short-lived. The military's presence in the quarantine zone was unyielding, and it wasn't long before they were discovered. The ensuing escape was a heart-pounding ordeal. The echoing footsteps of soldiers and the barked orders of commanders served as a constant reminder of the danger that surrounded them. As gunfire erupted and the military closed in, Joel and Ellie relied on their newfound trust and shared survival instincts. They moved in tandem, covering each other, taking down soldiers who stood in their path. The intensity of the firefight was a testament to their determination, their shared goal of escaping the military's grasp. In the chaos and carnage of their escape, Joel and Ellie found themselves facing the infected. The creatures lurked in the shadows, their distorted forms a grotesque reminder of the fungal infection that had ravaged humanity. The battle was brutal and unforgiving, with every step forward marked by a relentless struggle to stay alive. Their escape from Boston was an arduous journey through a city in ruins, a city haunted by the memories of a world that had once been. The quarantine zone had become a prison, but Joel and Ellie had fought their way out, relying on their growing trust in each other and their shared determination to survive. As they left the city behind, the skyline of Boston receded into the distance, a symbol of the world they had left behind and the path that lay ahead. Their escape marked a turning point in their journey, as they continued to rely on each other for survival, forging an unbreakable bond in the crucible of a world that had grown ever more dangerous. Chapter 6: The Hunters. Pittsburgh, once known for its vibrant streets and thriving culture, now lay in ruins, a testament to the relentless decay of civilization. The remnants of humanity who still clung to life were often driven to desperate measures, and in this desolate city, Joel and Ellie would come face to face with the darkest aspects of survival. As they ventured deeper into Pittsburgh, the signs of desperation became increasingly evident. Abandoned vehicles blocked the streets, once bustling with the rhythm of daily life. The silence that now reigned was broken only by the distant growls of the infected and the rustle of leaves in the wind. The encounter with the hunters was swift and brutal. Cornered in a dilapidated building, Joel and Ellie found themselves ambushed by a group of survivors who had abandoned any semblance of humanity. The hunters were ruthless, their faces etched with the harsh lines of a world that had left no room for compassion. In the dimly lit building, gunfire erupted, and the sound of breaking glass echoed through the hallways. Joel and Ellie fought with grim determination, relying on their shared instinct for survival. The walls and debris offered cover as they moved together, coordinated and unyielding. The sound of bullets impacting flesh and the anguished cries of their assailants filled the air. As the dust settled, the lifeless bodies of the hunters bore witness to the price of survival in this unforgiving world. Joel and Ellie had emerged victorious, but the encounter had left its mark, a stark reminder of the brutality that now defined their existence. Their escape from the hunters was a testament to their growing partnership. Ellie's unwavering courage and Joel's seasoned expertise had melded into a formidable team. In the aftermath of the encounter, they found shelter in a decaying hotel where the faded glamour of the past clashed with the stark reality of their present. As they rested in the dimly lit room, the tension of the battle began to wane, replaced by a somber reflection on the nature of the world they now navigated. The room, once a place of luxury and escape, had become a sanctuary, a rare haven in a world that offered few comforts. In the quiet moments that followed, Joel and Ellie's bond deepened. They shared stories of their past, their hopes, and their fears, each revelation peeling away another layer of their defenses. Ellie's youthful exuberance offered a counterbalance to Joel's hardened exterior, and the companionship they had forged became a source of strength in a world that sought to crush their spirits. The encounter with the hunters had been a crucible, testing their resolve and cementing their partnership. As they continued their journey through the ruins of Pittsburgh, they carried with them the lessons of survival, the scars of battle, and the growing bond that would define their shared destiny in a world where trust was a rare and precious commodity. Chapter 7: A Winter's Ordeal. Winter had settled over the world, casting a frigid, unrelenting chill across the land. As Joel and Ellie continued their journey, the biting winds and icy landscapes became an ever-present adversary, a cruel reminder of the unforgiving nature of their world. But in the midst of this unforgiving season, their world was about to be torn asunder. An ambush in the desolate wilderness would rip them apart, and Ellie would be left to confront the brutal reality of survival on her own. The ambush was swift and merciless. An unknown group of survivors had set a cunning trap, separating Ellie from Joel in the chaos. In the howling winds and blinding snowstorm, she found herself isolated, her heart pounding with both fear and determination. The hostile elements of winter bore down upon her, as the relentless snowfall threatened to obscure her path and the wind gnawed at her skin. She clutched her backpack, her lifeline to supplies, and her trusty hunting rifle. Desperation became her ally. With a resilience born of necessity, Ellie's resourcefulness and determination shone through. She set traps for any potential pursuers, luring them into her well-laid snares, and her aim with the rifle was true. Her every step was calculated, her movements as silent as the falling snow. As she moved through the winter wilderness, Ellie encountered not only the dangers of nature, but also the remnants of humanity, desperate and predatory. Her encounters with these survivors were marked by brutal, life or death confrontations, each one a test of her mettle. It was a harsh lesson in the cost of survival in a world where trust was a scarce and fragile commodity. Food and shelter became her constant pursuit. She scavenged for supplies, hunted wildlife, and foraged for anything that could stave off the relentless cold and hunger. Every meal was a reminder of the lengths she would go to endure, a lesson in the sacrifices demanded by her world. As she fought against the elements and her enemies, Ellie's character and resolve deepened. Her experience was a baptism by fire, a trial that forged her into a survivor. She honed her skills, her resourcefulness, and her determination in the crucible of winter's unforgiving ordeal. In the solitude of the wilderness, Ellie confronted not only the physical challenges, but also the emotional toll of her isolation. Her thoughts often turned to Joel, her protector and mentor. In the bitter cold and unforgiving winds, she missed his presence and longed for their reunion. The harsh winter landscape was both an adversary and a teacher, a reminder of the price of survival and the strength that could be found within. As Ellie continued to navigate this frozen world, her mettle was tested, and her spirit was forged anew in the crucible of winter's relentless ordeal. The lessons she learned and the resilience she exhibited would be pivotal as she pressed onward, determined to find her way back to the man who had become not just her protector, but her unwavering friend and guide. Chapter 8: Reunion. The bleak, unrelenting winter had tested Ellie's strength and resolve, forcing her to confront the harshest facets of a world ravaged by chaos and despair. Separated from Joel during a brutal ambush, she had been left to fend for herself in the unforgiving wilderness. But even as she faced the perils of the frigid landscape, a single, unyielding thought remained at the forefront of her mind: finding her way back to Joel. As the relentless snowstorm raged on, Ellie's perseverance saw her through. With each step, her determination to reunite with the man who had become both protector and mentor fueled her resolve. She had honed her skills, both as a survivor and as a marksman, and her strength of character had been forged in the crucible of her ordeals. In the midst of the frozen wilderness, Ellie's resourcefulness continued to serve her well. Her traps and hunting prowess ensured her survival, and her vigilance never wavered. She knew that danger could lurk behind every tree and under every snow-covered mound. And as she followed the path that would lead her back to Joel, her thoughts were consumed by a singular purpose. Then, at last, the moment of reunion came. The swirling snowflakes fell like confetti, a subtle celebration of their resilience and the unbreakable bond they had forged. Joel's presence emerged from the blinding white expanse, his grizzled form a welcome sight that warmed Ellie's heart even in the midst of the biting cold. Their reunion was not marked by words, but by an unspoken understanding. In the quiet of that frozen wilderness, they locked eyes, and their shared experiences spoke volumes. Ellie's trials had deepened her character, and Joel's resolve to protect her had only strengthened. Their connection, once born of necessity, had evolved into something more profound, a connection that transcended the harsh reality of their world. As they resumed their journey, Joel and Ellie moved forward together, their bond unbreakable, their trust in each other unwavering. The harsh lessons of their past had served to fortify their partnership, and the crucible of their shared ordeals had given rise to an emotional connection that was as enduring as it was unspoken. In the aftermath of Ellie's winter's ordeal, They carried with them the strength that could only be forged in the crucible of survival, and the knowledge that they were not alone in the face of the world's unforgiving challenges. Together, they pressed onward, a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity and the enduring power of the bonds that could be forged in even the harshest of circumstances. Their journey was far from over, but they faced the path ahead with a resilience that nothing, not even the relentless forces of a crumbling world, could shatter. Chapter 9: The Firefly Hospital. Salt Lake City lay shrouded in the quiet stillness of a world that had succumbed to the ravages of time. The streets, once vibrant and bustling, were now vacant, and the cityscape bore the scars of its own decline. Joel and Ellie had made their way to the Firefly Hospital, the culmination of their journey, where they hoped to find a cure for the fungal infection that had plunged the world into chaos. The hospital loomed before them, a daunting structure that held the promise of salvation. The Fireflies, a group of rebels and survivors who had taken it upon themselves to challenge the oppressive military regime, had been their destination all along. The Fireflies believed that Ellie, with her unique immunity to the infection, held the key to a potential cure. As Joel and Ellie ventured deeper into the hospital, the weight of their journey hung heavily in the air. The halls were dimly lit, the antiseptic scent of a once functioning medical facility now mingling with the musty odor of neglect. They moved with caution, their steps echoing in the empty hallways, their eyes scanning for any sign of life. The revelation came when they reached the heart of the hospital, where a team of Firefly scientists and medical professionals had been working tirelessly in search of a cure. The tension was palpable as they examined Ellie, their faces a mix of hope and uncertainty. The truth of the situation became clear. Ellie's immunity was the result of a unique mutation that held the potential for a cure, but obtaining it would require a procedure that could cost her life. It was a difficult decision that loomed over them, a choice that would test the boundaries of morality, sacrifice, and love. Joel, who had become a father figure to Ellie, was faced with an impossible dilemma. His protective instincts clashed with the Firefly's conviction that her sacrifice could save humanity. It was a conflict that cut to the core of his character, a choice that would forever alter the course of their lives. The hospital became a battleground of decisions and emotions. The Fireflies insisted on going through with the procedure, believing that the potential cure was worth any sacrifice. Ellie, who had grown in strength and courage throughout their journey, faced a choice of her own, one that would determine her own fate. In the end, it was Joel who made the agonizing decision. His love for Ellie, the memory of Sarah, and the understanding that she was his chance for redemption led him to choose to save her at any cost. In a heart-wrenching confrontation, he fought his way through the hospital, determined to rescue Ellie from a fate she hadn't chosen. The hospital's once sterile halls were now filled with chaos, the echo of gunshots and the cries of conflict. Joel and Ellie's bond, forged through shared hardships and mutual survival, was unbreakable, and it was this unyielding connection that would carry them through the harrowing ordeal. As they left the hospital behind, the potential cure for the infection remained just out of reach. Their journey had led them to the precipice of a new beginning, but it had also left them with scars that ran deeper than any physical wound. The choice Joel had made would resonate with them for the rest of their lives, a testament to the enduring power of love and sacrifice in a world that had lost so much. The journey was far from over, but they faced the future with a shared resolve and an unbreakable bond, carrying with them the weight of their decisions and the promise of a world that might one day heal. Chapter 10: Resolute Bond. The silence that enveloped Joel and Ellie was heavy, burdened with unspoken truths and the weight of decisions made in the darkest corners of their hearts. They had left the Firefly Hospital behind, the potential cure for the infection lost to them, and now, In the shadow of their ordeal, they stood on the precipice of a new chapter in their shared journey. It was a quiet night, their makeshift camp bathed in the soft glow of the moon and the gentle flicker of a campfire. The stars above, indifferent to the struggles of humanity, served as a distant reminder of the vastness of the universe. Yet, in that intimate moment, it was the bond between Joel and Ellie that held the most profound significance. Ellie's hazel eyes, so full of life and resilience, bore into Joel's, their gaze unrelenting. She had questions, and she deserved answers. The truth about her immunity, the events at the hospital, and the choices Joel had made needed to be confronted. Joel, Ellie began, her voice steady but laced with an undercurrent of emotion. You lied to me, didn't you? Joel hesitated, his gaze shifting away from her penetrating eyes. The words he had carried with him, the weight of his actions, had finally caught up to him. Yeah, Ellie, he admitted, his voice filled with a heavy sigh. I did. The silence that followed was deafening, punctuated only by the crackling of the campfire. Ellie's emotions were a tempest, a mixture of anger, betrayal, and the ache of unspoken truths. She deserved to know the reality of her immunity, the choices that had been made on her behalf, and the world that had led them to this point. As the story unfolded, the truth about Ellie's immunity was revealed. It wasn't a cure for the infection, but rather a potential pathway to a cure, one that came at an unimaginable cost. The procedure at the hospital had held the possibility of unlocking the secrets of her immunity, but it was a risk that could have taken her life. Joel's confession about the choices he had made for Ellie was a reckoning, a testament to the depths of his love and the unbreakable bond that had formed between them. He had chosen to save her, not only to protect her from the harsh world, but also to find redemption for the loss of his own daughter. Ellie's emotions were a storm, her anger and betrayal warring with the understanding of Joel's motivations. The confrontation served as a crucible for their relationship, a moment of reckoning that would forever alter the foundation of their partnership. But even as the truth emerged, their bond remained resolute. Their shared experiences, the trials they had faced, and the unspoken love that had grown between them were unshakable. The recognition of their shared humanity, the flaws that defined them, and the choices they had made in the face of an unforgiving world bound them together. Joel's actions may have been driven by love, but they were not without consequences. As the night wore on, they came to terms with their past, the choices they had made, and the enduring bond that held them together. In the darkness of that night, beneath the expanse of a starlit sky, Joel and Ellie found solace in their shared understanding and their unwavering connection. The future remained uncertain, the world still unforgiving, but in each other, they had found a resilience that would see them through whatever challenges lay ahead. The world had taken much from them, but it had also given them something precious, a bond forged in the crucible of survival, a testament to the enduring power of love, sacrifice, and the unbreakable connection that could be formed even in the harshest of circumstances. Their journey was far from over, but they faced it together with a bond that had been tested and strengthened in the crucible of their past, a bond that would carry them forward into the unknown, hand in hand. Hey there, fellow fiction enthusiasts. I hope you've been enjoying the audio stories on MutedGamerFiction as much as I've loved bringing them to you. Your support means the world to me, and today, I've got a small request for you. If you've been relishing these audiobooks and fan fiction tales, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, drop a comment, and, of course, subscribe if you haven't already. Your likes, comments, and subscriptions are like fuel to my storytelling fire, and they keep this channel going strong. I'd also love to hear from you. Whether you've got a particular fan fiction suggestion you're dying to share, or simply want to say hi, Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. This channel is a community of like-minded fans, and your input is incredibly valuable. So, thank you once again for being a part of Muted Gamer Fiction. Keep those headphones on, immerse yourself in our stories, and let's continue this exciting journey together. Your support keeps the stories coming, and I can't wait to see what fan fiction ideas you have in mind. Happy listening, and remember to hit those like, comment, and subscribe buttons. See you in the next chapter.